Over the course of all of these years, I get on here and we talk about the 76ers, and I'm always amped up. Tobias and Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers, and I'm jabbing, I'm done this, and I'm Juan, you're wrong.
You always
and I'm
you
always
always have like one
central
person
focus.
to
Yeah.
pin everything on.
Always over the course
that's
of
true.
years.
That just dawned on me.
And now I'm just 100% fully defeated. I have, for the first time, I don't have any solutions. I don't have. We're royally screwed. If you go to Pornhub and you type in, HBD and anal, and that's us.
What's HBD?
Huge black, you know what?
Oh, okay.
And anal, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. I was talking to my homeboy Said now, and last week. Said, this is not about the Cowboys, but I will say this. Said is a really huge Cowboys fan. He was, his family is from Texas and all that good stuff, so he's brought up in the tradition and raised. And over the years, I would talk to him, and he, really amped up and mad and all of this, and we got to get rid of Dak, and this is what we need to do, and Zeke Elliott is old, we got to move off of him, and this is Tony Romo this and this and that, and always with a solution, always with a plan, always energy, amped up, mad, angry, like fans are of disappointing teams. All right? Just last week, I talked to him to check in, my yearly check-in.
You check in once a year during the Cowboys season?
Yeah. And
you wait till the Cowboys go on a little losing streak?
jigging it in a little bit. Chiefs guy. And his energy was completely different
Really?
for the first time in our entire existence, lifetime knowing each other.
Wow.
He sounded defeated. And that's exactly how I feel, okay? With the Philadelphia 76ers.
Ooh.
Over the course of all of these years, I get on here and we talk about the 76ers, and I'm always amped up. Tobias and Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers, and I'm jabbing, I'm done this, and I'm Juan, you're wrong.
You always
and I'm
you always have like one
central
person
focus.
to
Yeah.
pin everything on.
Always over the course
that's
of
true.
years.
That just dawned on me.
And now I'm just 100% fully defeated. I have, for the first time, I don't have any solutions. We're royally screwed. If you go to Pornhub and you type in, HBD and anal, and that's us.
What's HBD?
Huge black, you know what?
Oh, okay.
And anal, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. We're just that, we're that screwed, and there is no exit wound for this, because let me lay it out for you guys. I understand the whole world. Roger Bombard, who's been on the show before, he hit me up a couple of weeks ago. He was the first person. He was really early on this, before all this Embiid stuff come out. Oh, Embiid is such a B and drama queen. He doesn't want to play in back-to-backs. How can you like him? And this and that. And the whole storm has come on Embiid now, and deservedly so. I know Tyrese Maxey came out and said he's late in meetings and things like that. That's just the wrong focus point. The focal point is, if you've watched the Philadelphia 76ers this year, Embiid he looks like a shell of himself. He doesn't look like, he looks like a guy who has had 5 or 6 knee surgeries. And anytime Embiid comes back from surgery, it does take him a couple of weeks. So yes, he will have a big game. He's not like he should retire today. He's going to have some good games. He may have one tonight. But the point is, he's decelerating. He's on the massive decline, right? But we have 5 or 6 years left of paying him at $60, $70, $80 million a year. He's on his contract inclines, moving forward.
His contract's going in the opposite direction as his game.
Of his health,
Yeah.
really. And that's the real problem and issue. And that's the reason why we're screwed here. Paul George, it's the same thing. Paul George looks no different, no better. His contract is the exact same. And it's not that those guys can't play or can't perform or don't want to. It's not like Embiid is coming into practice with cell phones in his pockets like Ben Simmons. It's not that he doesn't want to play. He just cannot. It hurts. When you watch Embiid walk, it hurts him to move his two legs. He's grimacing, jogging up the court. He's averaging 1 or 2 rebounds a game. He can't jump over a piece of paper right now. Like, you know what I mean? And I can't be upset or angry at him because of that. That's health and genetics just screwed him over on that. You know what I mean? That's just is what it is. I have to be, Paul George the same way. And that's the issue with the 76ers. Now, the only, I guess, halfway solution out of this, which no way, there's a 0% chance they take, is if they would go back and just tank. And in some kind of way, hopefully.
They're doing a good job of it at 2-11.
And hopefully God would bless us with Cooper Flagg.
Yeah. I mean, 2-11 is tanking pace.
It's definitely at a taking pace, but we haven't had – tonight would be the first time we had all 3 stars in, Maxey, George, and Embiid. It's the first time they've all played together, in one game. So they're going to string some wins together, but it won't be enough. It'll be enough to get an 8th or 7th seed, get tossed again in the first round, and then we'll be back next year with a older Embiid, probably with the 2 to 3 new injuries that he seems to get every year. If it's not his ballsy in the eye, it's a fucking torn thumb, whatever. And that's with his knees degenerating each year, along with Paul George. So that's what's going to happen. But the only solution out of this is if they would just tank, sit him down, get Cooper, and then possibly trade Embiid. What do you think?
I think that what we're seeing this year, like, really kind of puts context into the Olympic Games performance on Embiid, which was not particularly sharp. And he definitely appears every bit of a player in steady decline. I do put some stock in some of the late for meeting type stuff. I know that it's kind of corny in a way, but like, I do think that stuff matters.
Yeah.
And even, when you are the leader of an organization, and the reality is when you're the most talented person in the organization, you have a certain leadership responsibility, whether you want it or not. And when you appear to, be lax, be a guy that's not, committed, even when you're not healthy. Like, if you're a guy rolling in consistently late, you're probably the same guy that's not giving every possible rehab effort. And that's, it becomes who you are. And I find that very distressing. And I do think with the money they're paying those 2 guys, the organization is in, like, purgatory.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I agree with you that that's a piece of it. I'm just saying I think a bigger reason to why we're screwed is the health. But of course, yeah, I do agree. You can't, the meetings or the practices or whatever the case may be, that just can't happen. And I'm sure that leads to the rehab, not listening to the health. That's why we talked about before the season started the beef between Embiid and the health team.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's is part of the reason is because Embiid doesn't do what he needs to do all the time.
But it was funny when we had that discussion. It was more along the lines of, like, Embiid wants to play and he's being held back by the medical team,
which is true.
But could be true. But also, if we're inferring from this kind of, lack of punctuality, lack of focus, lack of commitment, that he's maybe not attacking, whatever rehab's required of him with the same level of focus that he needs to.
I think that's the truth too.
That's it kind of balances itself out. Both parties
100%,
are at fault.
100%.
And that's just really distressing. And he is a guy, I mean, as athletic as he is, and
was,
yeah. but why I say that though is that even in his peak athleticism, he was a guy that there was a certain awkwardness to his physical movements.
Yeah. That
to me, when you see that in a player, it does strongly suggest they're not going to be long-term healthy. And to me, Zion Williamson's another guy in that category.
Who's out right now.
Exceptionally athletic guy, but at a weird height, weight, power ratio. And again, he kind of looks super awkward.
He's always looks wonky.
Yeah,
always.
Exactly.
At 18 years old, he's like...
yeah. He looks like one leg is not the same size as
There
the
you go,
other
there
because
you
he
go.
kind of almost like waddles.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just like you look at that stuff, and I always go back to an article that was written by Bill Simmons back in the draft of Katie and Greg Oden, and he made a point. He was somewhere, I don't know if it was like a combine or the draft maybe itself, and he said, I watched those two guys walk together. And Greg Oden looked like he was an old man walking, and Kevin Durant bounced when he walked.
And this
And
is
what
at
it-
18, 19
This
years
is
old.
again, yes.
Yeah,
Both men at that time played 1 year of college basketball
Yeah.
and entered the draft as the number 1 and number 2 guys available. Nobody was close in those guys. But you pick up that simple physical body language thing, and it kind of suggested what happened. Kevin Durant is in year 16 or 17 of a Hall of Fame multi-championship MVP career, and Greg Oden's out of basketball many, many years, injury riddled, never fulfilled the promise of draft night or anything before that.
Yeah.
When you're looking at people, and sometimes it's difficult to do because you could be mesmerized by talent or what appears to be athleticism, you got to look at body mechanics. Body mechanics are huge when you talk about like durability and long-term ability to play at a high level. I remember my son played soccer, and at various points when they're small, like there's certain kids that seem to be kind of good, and I remember looking at myself, well, that guy doesn't move smoothly, like he doesn't run easily. He might be a little bit bigger and more powerful than some of the other kids right now, but he doesn't have good running mechanics. And if you're going to be successful at soccer, you have to run.
Yeah.
And if running is not easy for you, you're not going to be successful. And I never missed on those guys. By the time the kids got to 14, 15, all the kids that I'm talking about were basically out of it. They weren't playing soccer anymore. And the kids that could run easily were a part of what was going on and had, something of a future and a career in the game. Got to look at that stuff. It's critical.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. Now, outside of the Embiid, George foolishness and Maxey calling out Embiid, there has been a bright spot in Jared McCain, so we'll see where that goes. I'll be curious to see when Maxey comes back, supposed to come back tonight, how that, does that put a strangle on McCain's, minutes and opportunities? How does that look? Will they start them both? That's an extremely small backcourt, or will you run McCain as the first player off the bench? Another thing too, and don't get me wrong, our GM took over a terrible situation, but I mean, you just can't get out of a team with all of these old guys that we have, man. We have to be the oldest team in the league with Eric Gordon getting significant minutes. Kyle Lowry been in the starting lineup all year. You know what I mean? All of these just really old guys. And then right on cue, we get Caleb Martin from Miami on a really good contract. People are hyped about him. And then he comes to Philadelphia and just completely forgets just how to play basketball, and he changes his shot, and it's something. I don't know what it is, but when I find out, people come to Philadelphia and they either change their shot or just completely forget how to shoot a basketball. It's remarkable how many guys come to Philadelphia with that issue.
JJ Redick might have been the only one to survive.
and Caleb is the newest guy with that.